thing. You know, when we write the exams, what I recommend to teachers is that, let's say for example, Quran translation, split the questions, the whole section. So let's say for example you've done like one juz. So let's say I split it, let's say 8 questions, or 4 questions at least, and every question must have one rubric.
Okay, so
Because
it's spread.
because what happens sometimes is that the teacher picks and chooses, and the student revises a certain section, and then that doesn't come at all. That was sometimes, for example, like we studied a section, and then that came up. So you can study a part of the book and get lucky, and a question comes there, and you just get lucky. What we do, because most of our initial books are book based, so we try to spread out the questions so that the student has to revise everything. That's the whole point in it, to revise, not just to test them. That's what I tell the students. Yeah, it's not really about marking and fame and shame. It's a matter of getting revision done. So if you spread out the questions, so they know that everything will be tested. So even for example, it's like 2 stories in Qisr Nabiyyin. So make 4 questions, or 4 questions. So question 1 and 2 is from first story, question 3 and 4 second story, and half. So they know that everything. So they revise. Yeah. Then when we make the paper, I said, don't worry about rounding it off. You know, like out of 50, or out of 70, or out of 100. So what you do is write the question paper and make the mark. So make the question paper as long as you think it's supposed to be. Put the marks accordingly. If it's out of 36 or 27.5, doesn't matter. Then you can round it off into percentage afterwards. Because sometimes what happens, then you skew the marks and make it big or small. So let's say for example, you say, well, I got this question, and it's got 5 new words, so it'll be 5 marks. Or this needs like it's 30 kids got like 8 points, so 8 marks. So you may get paid out 147, or paper out of. And what you do is, in the end, you put it as a percentage.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because then what happens sometimes is the marks get skewed a bit.
Yes, a question which is doesn't have that much content but has a lot of marks. And then if you mess up on that question, you missed a lot of marks. And then,
So don't worry about, at the end it's making a percentage. So don't worry about trying to make the marks fit. Make sure that roughly about 4 to 5 A-side papers. If it's the earlier years, 4, and towards the end is 5. You maybe even 6 higher years.
How long time-wise do the students have for the exams generally?
We give them 2 hours maximum, but I try to set a guideline that, for example, if you do 4 to 5 pages, rough from our experience, generally speaking, a clever student probably done in 45 to 50 minutes, and those who are a bit more like precautious and more take longer, 1 hour, 20 minutes.
Essays.
Huh?
Or those who write essays.
But what we do is that we give a thing. We don't have, so it's typed to have a question, and this much space, this many marks, so they know what we're looking for. So it's not like a blank piece of paper and it's write and write, because sometimes it's a bit like, you know, when you're writing papers, the thing is, you probably your teacher, you know this as well, is that if you keep your questions very loose, it's very easy to write that exam paper. When you're marking, you're going to have right. And if you spend your time writing the exam paper, it takes longer to write the exam paper, but it's very clear as what points are needed. You can mark it in no time.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's it.
Okay.
When you're marking, I emphasize the staff, you know what? Turn it over and mark each question at a time. Everybody's question 1, everybody's question 2, everybody's question 3, everybody's question 4. Because it's not, for example, you're in a good mood, in a bad mood, or you get angry with one person's paper, this guy wrote question 1 really badly, and you're psychologically affected. And you know whose paper it is as well. So you know it's a good student, a clever student.
Do they know?
Well, you can still get affected, so this is a good student. He's done quite well, so he's done good throughout the paper, so it means you can't bias human beings, in it.
Also, he keeps the consistency with the questions as
exactly.
well.
And you're aware why
you
yes, exactly. So when you keep all the paper, that's why we don't mark all the paper, unless it's like very standard, like vocabulary, so you know it's very standard, it's only one answer. But generally speaking, as a rule of thumb, is that everybody's question 1, everybody's question 2, everybody's question, so you know where you've taken off marks.
Okay. And you know, when going back to designing the papers, do you do anything to ensure consistency between different teachers' papers?
For example?
So, for example, you're writing a Hidayat Nahu paper this year. Next year, another teacher's writing a Hidayat Nahu paper. To ensure that the papers are similar sort of style, similar sort of difficulty, similar sort of...
What happens is that, for example, initially I taught most of the book myself. So now I wrote the papers, and then everybody looks at them and it's kind of from there. And all the papers come through me before they get printed. I have a look at all the papers just to make sure that
you moderate the papers.
Yeah. So all the papers. So sometimes I write papers myself, and sometimes after all the papers come through me, and after it's marked, I look at all the results myself as well to make sure see who's got marks. Even the teachers I randomly check as well to make sure the marking is consistent, just randomly.
Some sort of consistency there.
Yeah. But see, if it's very clear at the beginning of the year what this book's about, then you get consistent. Because for example, the purpose of this book is X, Y, and Z. So everybody will ask the same questions. So for example, for Qisr Nabiyyin, I've seen Qisr Nabiyyin paper say, write the story of Yusuf out. It's like, is that the purpose of the book? You get what I'm saying? So it's not clear. It's not. I find that really strange because the purpose of Qisr Nabiyyin is not the story, actually the Arabic So if you that's a question worth 25, half the paper is like.
So have you done work on that, like producing a clear sort of idea of what each kitab is about? Or
it's not documented, but it's mentally, before we give them the book, we explain to them what we need to be taught. So for example, Sarf, for example, this Sarf book, all you have to do is basically just give them the tables, just learn the tables. This Sarf book exercise, you're going to actually write out the English to Arabic, Arabic to English, translate what Siqa is, etc. etc. Yeah. This one, for example, we're doing Quran Siqa, so this is Quran Siqa, how do you dictionary? So they know, but it's not documented at the moment.